Hello, friends. Welcome to the LeggLife podcast. My name is Adam, and this is episode number 30. Now, you will notice that the podcast is starting differently. That's because Sherry is not with us today. The topic we're going to be discussing is not, well, it's not one that Sherry honestly cares at all about. But I do have two people with me who care a lot about this. Our first guest today.
My name is Justin.
You guys know Justin from Our Z-Roll. So many good things about him, but he's also a 49ers fan. And then our next guest.
My name is Auburn.
You guys know Auburn, a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Now, today we're talking about football, one of my very favorite topics ever. And since both of them are here in the house, I thought we can't miss an opportunity to have a discussion about football. But we're going to keep it friendly. We're not going to talk about Seahawks 49ers rivalries. We're actually sitting next to each other wearing our respective jerseys. And I think Justin wants to murder me, but it's okay. We're going to get through this episode. So I have a couple questions that I'm going to ask. First of all, I wanted to have this discussion with you guys because we're all fans of teams that have been accused of having like bandwagon fans, right? These are teams that have had success over the last decade. And when a team has success, they basically, a lot of people start to become fans of that team. But all of us can trace our roots to being fans of our teams to back when they were terrible. Like our teams were truly horrible. Mm-hmm. So, Justin, I'm going to start with you. Where did your love for the 49ers come from? Like, where did your 49er fandom begin?
Well, it started in the womb, to be honest. Straight out, just a Niners fan. But I was actually born in Sacramento. And I think the reason why I love the San Francisco 49ers is because it seemed like once a month, the family would go down to San Francisco. We would hang out at Fisherman's Wharf and just, experience San Francisco, some good food, and just the family atmosphere that we had. Now, I never went to any games when I was that young, but it was just the fact of, seeing Niners fans everywhere, the merchandise, all that kind of stuff. And then my uncle and all my family in Sacramento were Niners fans as well. So it was kind of like just growing up and just loving everything that had to do with football.
So you don't remember a time when you weren't, and like the Niners have always been your team?
Always been my team. Yes.
Auburn, I knew you were a Chiefs fan from almost the moment we met you, because we met you right before the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl. And even on the cruise, you guys were just Chiefs gear the entire time.
Yes.
But tell me where your Chiefs roots come from.
Well, I was born in November. And I was born on a Monday, and I think I was born the Monday after the Chiefs won a game or something, which was like a big deal back in 1995. Mm-hmm. It's my origin story with the Chiefs is kind of, weird because I grew up in the very middle of Missouri when we had the Chiefs in Kansas City, and then we also had the St. Louis Rams before they became traitors and left us.
I hate them.
We were never really Rams fans, but my Aunt Sue's had access to tickets in the Dome in St. Louis. So we would always go watch the Chiefs play the Rams in the Dome in St. Louis, which was really cool. Mm. But we were always Chiefs fans. So I have pictures of me in like teeny tiny little Chiefs jerseys when I was, 1 year old. Mm-hmm. I have been a fan of the Chiefs since I was born.
So my dad moved to Alaska in the early 80s, and the Seahawks started in 1976. When he moved to Alaska, he's always been a sports fan. Like my dad's just like a sports fanatic, but Alaska doesn't have a football team. And so he was like, if I'm going to live in Alaska, I'm going to be a fan of the local team, who is the Seahawks. And so I always was raised with a dad who was a Seahawks fan. And it's like, they were horrible, right? Like for basically most of my life, they were just truly terrible. And I used to work for a company that was based out of Edmonds, Washington. And so they'd fly me to Seattle a lot. And I started going to games in person, I'd say in my early 20s, mid 20s. And it was the kind of thing that I had just been a fan because my dad was a fan growing up. And then once I got to start going to games, and back then tickets were so cheap, right? Because when your team wins 4 games, you can get tickets easily. And so once you just start going to games, it just gets in your blood. And then that's when my fandom went from, a team my dad loved and a team that I grew up with to like my team. Now I want to ask you guys, Who's your second favorite team? Do you have a number 2 that it's like, I'm a 49ers fan, but I also really like
Seahawks.
You're lying. You are lying so much right now.
So much. I mean, I don't even know why
we
I said
will,
that.
we will get into least
hurts.
favorite teams in a minute.
It hurts I said that.
I just, I'm saving that audio clip for the rest. That's the new ringtone when you call me.
Seahawks. I would say the Detroit Lions. Just because my wife Lacey, her family is, Detroit all the way, and so I think that would be like my second favorite, just because of family.
Yeah.
Again,
that's a good one. Isn't it interesting? So much of like who your team is tied to those memories growing up or family or what your experiences were.
Right.
Auburn's second favorite team.
It's really tough for me because I like a lot of teams.
Yeah.
There are a few teams that I hate and some
that
that I'm very ambivalent about. But I've got a handful of teams that I will root for every weekend.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, like, I really like right now the Browns. I'm really excited about the Browns and the Saints.
Yeah.
The Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I find that I like teams that aren't the Seahawks because of players that I really like. And so I've really liked the Chiefs last few years just because I really like Mahomes. Like I don't know, something about that guy just really impresses me. Growing up, I remember really liking the Bears only because there was a time when it was like Jim McMahon, there were William Refrigerator Perry years that they just seemed like they were really cool. But it's funny because now I can't stand the Bears. And I don't know why, but somewhere in my life that really turned. Okay, let's talk memories. I want to ask, do you have a favorite, when you think of the 49ers, like your favorite 49ers or your favorite Chiefs memory? Like one that's just like, man, that's the one I go to.
Yeah, I think honestly, it goes back to family. I remember we were in San Francisco. We were eating like some oysters or something like that. And I was like maybe like 8. And my grandpa he bought me a 49ers hat. And I still have that hat today. Actually, my son Landon has it now. But I think the thing is like that was my first ever like actually owning merchandise at 7 or 8. And I think that was my favorite memory. I always think about when I think of the 49ers, I think about that hat for whatever reason. And my grandpa's, he's gone now, but that's one of my favorite memories is him buying me that hat.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Auburn, what about you? A Chiefs memory?
Mine is actually centered around a piece of merchandise too.
Huh. Really?
Yeah. My mom went to the grocery store one time and came home with this Chiefs jersey that was reversible. So it was like a home jersey and away jersey at the same time.
Wow.
It was the best jersey I ever owned, and I regret ever getting rid of it. I outgrew it, and I should have kept it. I think about that jersey all the time.
Wow.
It was amazing at a grocery store.
What a good story. I love that. I think mine is, so my dad and my parents split up when I was 7. And my dad's always been like a friend to me, but my mom mostly raised me. So we don't have a ton of like father-son memories. And so I remember a number of years ago, Sherry and I had a discussion about how, as he's getting older, I'm getting older. I want to have the kind of memories, like I think about what would the funeral story be that I told? Right? God forbid something had to happen to my dad. What's my funeral story that I tell? And I realized that I didn't really have a funeral story. And so I started being intentional about making memories with him. And so I took my dad on a trip. It was the year after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. And it was the first home game after that where they unveiled the Super Bowl championship banner. And they were playing the Packers. And so I took my dad to Seattle for that game. And my dad, again, Seahawks fan since he moved to Alaska, right when the franchise starts. A team that his whole life was just horrible. And to get to see, my dad there just in tears as the banner drops was like, that to me that's the story I tell at his funeral. And it's just so surrounded by good memories. And I remember my dad, in Seattle, they have this thing called Touchdown City, which is like the pregame experience where there's, autograph booths and things to do. And my dad got his beard like painted green and blue. And so, here I am with like my old dad, but for him, he was a kid that day. And it was just such a good memory. Okay, let's talk about team. Justin, we're going to be nice to each other here.
Okay.
Let's talk about the teams we don't like. It's going to be obvious for you and I, but who are some of the other ones? Like who are give me your top few teams that you just can't stand.
Well, I mean, I hate the Patriots,
Mhm.
hands down, and a lot of it was because of Mr. Brady,
Yep.
and
Who's that?
the Mr. Tom Brady,
Thomas,
I'm sorry. What?
Thomas
Who's that?
Brady
who Auburn has been blocked out of her memory. He doesn't even exist in her
doesn't
mind.
exist. But I mean, obviously, in our division, it's probably all the teams in my division.
Yep.
So the Rams, I should say our division.
Yep.
Cardinals. Really hate the Cardinals.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know what it is about them, but it irritates me.
I agree.
So I would say those. I mean, the Seahawks too.
Yep, for sure.
But so I would say all those and the Patriots. Everyone in my division, the Patriots.
Yeah.
That's about it, though. Honestly,
Yeah.
like I can watch pretty much any other team, unless I guess this is the thing. It changes every year.
Yeah.
So if I think we're supposed to win a game, and a team beats us, I hate them for at least a year.
You'll hold a grudge
Until we
against
beat
that
them.
team. Oh yeah.
Until we beat them. So I
Okay.
feel like it does change every year.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's football, though.
I was just going to
changes
say
all the time.
What a good football fan answer, because that is so relatable.
Right.
I could like a team today, and then something happens in a game tomorrow, and I hate them.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
That's my feelings.
Auburn, your least favorite teams?
The Raiders.
Yeah, you hate the Raiders.
It's a good one. That is a good
hate
one.
the Raiders. I hate the Raiders because it's like they draft the dirtiest guy in the bunch. Like, which guy has committed the most crimes, the most egregious crimes? That's the guy that the Raiders want. And I hate that. I hate playing them. We always get hurt when we play those games, and we play them twice a year because they're in our division. Like, I don't hate the Broncos or the Chargers as much as I hate the Raiders. I hate the Raiders. I also hate the Patriots because I hate the organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hate the Raiders.
Yeah, mine would be
Good answer.
Mine would be obviously just like Justin, 49ers, Cardinals. The one that I really don't like is the Rams, because for whatever reason, I feel like the Rams always beat us
Yeah, it's true.
or play, and it's so frustrating to me because I hate that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know why. The Rams always play so tough, and so I hate them.
You know who I hate right now?
Who?
The Tennessee Titans.
Oh, why?
They came out of nowhere. Like we played them last year or the year before that, and they beat us. And I was like, where did they even come from? I totally forgot they were a team just because they were so bad for so long, and then suddenly now they're good. I'm like, where did you even come from? What hole in the ground did you crawl out of? I hate them right now.
And they're good with random players.
Yeah.
I'm like, who?
It's like nobody.
I think that's why I like football, though. It's like you have teams who are just, they suck, all like that, and then all of a sudden they're top. And it's like, it's something changed. Like if it's a coaching or if it's a player, some kind of weapon they use. I don't know. It's like, that's why I love football, because it's like that happens quite a bit.
100%. What team other than your own would you love to see win the Super Bowl?
That's a really hard question.
Yeah, probably the Seahawks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Auburn, what about you? Do you have an?
For me, it's the Browns or the Bills. I'm really excited about the Browns and the Bills right now.
I would say the Bills.
I like the Bills.
I do too.
And I feel like some of it is, I remember growing up watching the Bills just lose those heartbreaking Super Bowls.
Yep.
And it's the kind of thing, it's like, oh, you just want them to win. And then the Browns have been so bad for so long that we just I so want that, that. I want that fan base to have that moment of victory.
I love that their players are growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you got to see, what's his name? Quarterback.
Oh, for the Browns?
Yes.
What
is his name?
Baker
Mayfield.
Yeah.
So we got to watch Baker Mayfield. He was a jerk in college, and then he grew up, and now he's hilarious in those
commercials.
And then he's also learning how to play the game and be better.
Yeah, it's true.
He's not such a jerk on the sidelines anymore. I love watching them grow up like that.
Yeah. I think another one for me, I think it's the Lions. Only because it's one of those franchises that they so bad so long.
Right.
And I'd like to see them have success. Definitely nobody else in the division, though.
No.
Right? It's
not at all.
Any other team, just nobody else in the division.
No.
Justin, you've been to 49ers games in person?
What's that?
You've been to 49ers games in person?
Yes. I've only been to one.
Really?
Only one game. And it happened maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Really?
It was the first season where they had their new stadium.
Nice.
So, yeah. That's it.
It is a dream of mine to go to a Seahawks 49ers game with you.
We should make that happen.
I would love it.
I would love it too.
What do you remember about, what was the highlight of that first game for you?
Well, I was traveling for work, and so it was one of those things where it just lined up perfectly. It was like one of those things where like all the doors were opening up, and I had an off day, and tickets were super cheap because no one was buying tickets because we sucked, and then I think that's the thing is like just sitting there realizing all these years I've been wanting, and I went by myself.
Yeah.
All these years for rooting for this team, I've never seen him in person. I think that was just so cool for me. Like we lost, we lost.
Yep.
And I think we lost to the Panthers or something like that. But the reality is like it was just cool being there, grabbing a hot dog. It was very hot, but I didn't care because my team was playing.
I love that. Yeah.
That's good.
That's a fan story. You know what I mean? It's like the outcome didn't matter because you got to like be there.
Right.
You got to have the experience. Auburn, you were talking about you guys grew up, like you'd go see them play.
Mhm.
Give me a good live memory that you have from seeing a game.
I remember taking a great big bucket of sunflower seeds. Like, you know how they used to have those buckets? I think it was like a gallon bucket of sunflower seeds. I would sit there and eat the whole bucket of sunflower seeds through the whole game. I don't know why that was my thing, but that was my thing then.
Was your tongue like raw at the end of that?
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was.
But it's worth it.
It was
As a
totally
football.
worth it. I had so much fun. It
had
was
to be.
so
amazing.
great. But we were in the dome, so there was no risk of like sunburn or
Right.
like rain. And so we loved going to the games in St. Louis because we had family there, and you know, it was easier to get tickets, and we weren't outside baking in the sun or freezing. You know, because games in Arrowhead, you're either baking or freezing. There's never like perfect weather in Arrowhead. It's always
Yeah.
terrible.
I remember, so I have a lot of good. I was fortunate to go to a Seahawks game a year for almost a decade, at least one game a year. And I remember the first time I took Sherry. And again, she's not a football fan. But for me, I was sharing something that I loved so much with her. And she was such a trooper because she cared nothing about that. I think she had on like a Matt Hasselbeck jersey, right? That was who our quarterback was at the time. And it's back when they weren't great. And so we had we were probably 10 rows off the field, like 40-yard line, amazing tickets that I could never afford today. But it was so funny because like I was so giddy to like share this with her, and she was such a good sport about caring about something that she did not care at all about. Now, fast forward a number of years, because the last game we went to was a December game, and it was like raining / snowing, and against the Rams, which we lost, freaking Rams. And we left, and she was like, just so you know, I'm not going to a Seahawks game with you again. She was just in so much pain from the noise, and she was cold from being outside. And I just like stand and yell for 3 hours. And so the first experience was better than the last experience. I will say that. Least favorite player other than Tom Brady. Do you have somebody that you're just like, oh, I can't stand that guy? Auburn, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, who is it?
The Raiders quarterback. What is that guy? He pouts
Carr?
all the time. Yeah, Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, like a few years ago around
That's a good
Halloween,
one,
there was a
actually.
really great GIF. It was a meme. That's what it was. It was a meme.
There you go.
So it was going around, and it was like kids dressing up, like Chiefs fans, kids dressing up for Halloween. It was really cute. They had like the headband and the curly hair and the wristbands and the jersey, and they looked cute. And then it was like Raiders kids dressing up for Halloween, and they were dressed in like garbage cans and trash bags. You know, they're like, "Oh, I'm Derek Carr." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. You are Derek Carr because you dress like trash. Because Derek Carr is just trash."
It's a really good answer. I do not like him at all.
Nope.
What about yours, Justin?
I honestly, I really don't know if I have one. I think it really is Tom Brady. Is the one I've always not really liked.
Yep.
I think Auburn's laughing a little bit because we had a discussion about Tom Brady, and I said that I had some respect for him.
Here we go.
You know, after this last game, we're not going to go there because you
Sure.
said play
yep.
that
No,
besides Tom
we've
Brady.
had the conversation.
But I think honestly, through the years, like I don't really have a player that I really didn't really care for.
Yeah.
I guess I just have respect for. I mean, they're just unless they're complete arrogant, which, you know, is that a good answer? That's not even an answer. I didn't even answer you.
I think it's a little bit of an answer.
It's a little answer.
Mine, and this goes back to me holding a grudge for one play. Mine is Cam Newton.
Okay.
The
yeah.
reason is that there was one play in a game where I think Cam fumbled or somebody fumbled and the ball was next to him and he didn't go dive in and get it. He like, instead of diving on the ball, he like pulled back and pulled away. And I just remember thinking it was like the most chicken move ever.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you're the quarterback, you're like go after the ball.
Right.
Right.
And it was just I
Coward.
always that's the way I felt. I was like, what a coward. Like
Right.
you had a chance to like keep possession of the ball and you backed away because
Yeah.
you didn't want to get hit. And so for me, I just can't do Cam Newton.
I guess I have one, and this might be kind of
Ooh.
a thing, but I just didn't like Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like Kaepernick.
Even when he was a 49er?
Even as a 49er. So when I think it was pretty messed up of what happened when all of a sudden, why am I spacing our quarterback before Kaepernick?
Gosh
dang it.
The 49er quarterback before Kaepernick.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know. I'm trying to think of who it would have been. Who? Sorry, we have, just so you know, we have Lacey and Sherry in the room, and they're chiming in. What if one of them actually knew the answer? That'd be the biggest curveball.
You're super fast Googlers.
Who did you say?
Alex Smith.
Oh, Alex Smith.
He was. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Did he come from you guys to us?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
That guy is such a nice guy.
Yes. So, I mean, what happened, it was, Alex Smith, and he was hurt, and Kaepernick started playing, and he was playing really well. And all of a sudden, we decided to starting Kaepernick, even though Alex Smith was well.
Yep.
And I think that whole thing kind of irritated me. I know it's football, it's a game, it's money,
Yeah, totally.
all that kind of stuff, and if we're winning games, and that's great. But I think it was the following year with Kaepernick, it just kind of, I just wanted to play football.
Yeah,
I guess, and it was more than just, it was other things, and I think that was the thing. I'm like, I'm here to just watch some football, and I think then he just started not playing well, and he was distracted. He was distracted. And I think that's what really irritated me about him, which is interesting because he's part of my team.
I understand that, though. There's been players on the Seahawks that I like. When Richard Sherman was a part of the Seahawks, it's one of those things that I like to have players on our team that I can be proud of. Like, oh man, I'm proud that guy's a Seahawk. That's how I feel about Russell Wilson. Like, I'm proud that guy's our quarterback.
Right.
But Richard Sherman, it's like, okay, he was great when he was with the Seahawks, whatever. He was those things like, it's hard for me to say that I'm proud that he represents the team I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
And so I think
there are a couple Chiefs like that I feel about too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, maybe a good player, but boy, I'm sure not. That's not the kind of thing I want to root for.
Right.
Or the kind of person I want to root for.
Yeah.
Now we have Sherman.
Behave better.
And now you guys have Sherman. Is he re-signed with you this year?
I think there was talk of him coming back to Seattle.
There's been talk about that, yeah.
I don't know where he's at. So he's kind of ping-ponging back.
What a weird guy. So, all right. Well, I think we're getting to the end of our time here.
We talked about least favorite players. Can we talk about some of our favorite players?
Yes, let's do it.
Like, who do you like to watch play?
Oh.
I've got one.
Let's hear it.
Taysom Hill.
Oh, yeah.
I love watching that guy play football. Every time the camera's on him and he's got the ball, he's got this big, stupid smile on his face. Like, hey guys, I'm playing football. This is so much fun. I'm playing football. Guys are playing football. This is so much fun. I just love watching that.
Taysom Hill is a golden retriever.
Yes.
It's like football.
It's like he's having so much fun playing the game.
Yeah.
There's so much innocence.
Right.
It's not like greed or anger or rage that you see in some other players, Brady. But it's like, I'm having so much fun playing this game.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's a game. And he's having so much fun playing the game. I just love watching him play.
Is he still with the Saints?
As far as I know,
I agree. I like him too.
What I know doesn't, count for much, but
I haven't paid attention this offseason at all. I feel like I've been a bad fan this offseason.
Yeah.
Partly because last season was just such a
Yeah.
Gosh,
yes.
Other favorite players. That's a good question, Auburn. I really loved, even the same team. I used to really love watching Drew Brees play.
Yeah.
He was one of those players that I just always, like, as a football fan, I was just proud of.
I'm sad he's retired.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like, I cried when he announced he was retiring.
Yeah. Justin, what about you, favorite players?
It's kind of lame that I'm talking about my team.
No, not at all.
It's not. Go ahead.
You're a fan.
George Kittle.
Oh yeah.
The reason why is, like honestly, I'm a man crush on George Kittle, and I think the reason why is, again, kind of what you're talking about, Auburn, is he just loves to play football. Like he's about the game. He's not about the politics. He's not about the greed. And obviously, there's
you want to
money
win
involved,
games, and
but he wants to play football, win
yeah.
game, and he plays old school, which I love, and he's not afraid to get hurt. He plays when he's hurt, and I don't know, he reminds me of like, Joe Montana back in the day, where they just wanted to get down and dirty and play some good American football.
Yeah. Okay, sticking favorite players, all-time favorite player from your team. So all-time favorite 49er, all-time favorite Chief.
Oh my gosh.
All-time favorite Seahawk. You guys got a good one?
I mean, Joe Montana / Jerry Rice.
Yeah, how do you not? I mean, come on. Like the greatest duo, in my opinion, of all time.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Jerry Rice, definitely one of my favorite Seahawks too.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I just love that he went to Seahawks.
You could use Joe Montana for a Chief too.
That's true. Oh wow. How about that? Is true. Actually.
We're all merging. We're all blending.
Yeah.
That's really true. All right, Auburn, what about you? Favorite Chief?
Can I say Patrick Mahomes?
100%.
Because if I can't say Patrick Mahomes, then I'm going to use our kicker.
Yeah. Oh, you do love him.
I love Harrison Butker.
Yep.
I love that guy.
I love how you love a kicker.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah. I mean, when he misses, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I love that we've got a kicker that I can mostly depend on,
You can count on. Yeah, that's huge.
But I love the way Patrick plays. It's exciting watching a game. He makes stupid choices sometimes, but most of the time it pays off. Like when he does something, when he starts running with the ball, you can hear everybody go, "Oh no, stop, fall down," because you don't want him to get hurt. But yeah, probably Patrick Mahomes.
What a good answer.
I'm just so proud of that guy.
Yeah, one of my favorite players. I think mine, I have a hard time choosing between, so I love Russell Wilson. Like I just total fanboy about Russ. But I loved Marshawn Lynch. Like I just loved the character that he was. He didn't care about anything. Like he was there to do one job and he didn't care about anything else. And so he was just, I don't know, he was just a character. But probably Russ. I mean, Russ is I don't know. I just like him as a person. I like him on the field. I was honestly, this offseason when there was all the trade rumors, I was having like anxiety attacks about that possibility. So I'm glad he's still with us. Well, here's what I do want to say one thing before we end. And this is I do like the Chiefs. Obviously, Chiefs are a team I like, but I've never liked the 49ers. However, since we've become friends, I will say that when the 49ers win, I'm like, well, I'm glad Justin had a good day. You know what I mean? Like there's one positive thing for me now about the 49ers. Like, well, that means my friend's happy. And so I'm glad for that. I just hope they never win against the Seahawks.
Well, that's the thing. You're talking about how the Rams always beat you. I feel like the Seahawks always beat us.
But there are those. We each have those teams, though.
We do.
Yeah, we each have those.
They get under our skin somehow.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I mean, plus we've had for the last number of years, like that rivalry was so good.
So good.
Just yeah.
Man.
One day, the three of us need to watch a game together.
That'd be fun.
Wouldn't it be a blast?
That'd be really fun.
On a Disney cruise.
Ooh.
Oh man. All right, friends. Well, thanks so much for watching or listening. I guess you're not watching, even though we are on YouTube now. If you've not subscribed over on YouTube, we have a new LeggLife podcast channel. You can just search LeggLife podcast on YouTube. Or, of course, you can listen on Apple, on Spotify, on Google, and any other podcasting platforms. And over on YouTube, let us know in the comments. I want to know who your favorite team is, who your least favorite team is. Give us the answers to all these questions. Would love to know. Football season is coming soon. And I'm excited because I feel like last year was kind of a fake year. It doesn't really count. And so I feel like this year football is back. I cannot wait. So friends, thanks for listening to the LeggLife podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.